Okay, thank you. Moving on to Dr. Wahid. Maybank has a presence in 19 countries currently, I think. What do you think are perhaps the one single most important element that you need to have in place to operate successfully across various countries? If you look back perhaps 10, 15 years ago, it was a new thing for many Malaysian companies. Increasingly, companies such as yourself have gone abroad. What is the secret to the success of operating successfully in many countries?
Thanks, Sri. It would be very difficult for me to identify one element. Perhaps I can give you three elements. I think firstly, it is very important for any company that wants to be a regional champion to make sure that they have a very strong home base. So you can't be a regional champion if you're not the champion. This way for Maybank, we've been ensuring and building our domestic franchise because with a strong base in Malaysia, we're then able to mobilize financial resources to be invested abroad and likewise with people. So that's the first element. The second element would be the people, human capital. Like what Dr. Jamal mentioned, we also believe in diversity, both at home and abroad. So in our base at national level, we have diversity not only in terms of ethnicity and nationality, but also in terms of the background mix. Not all are accountants. We have some people from other disciplines, for example, as well as their age and sort of profile. We also have diversity in terms of gender. Some people say that two among the top management may not be enough, but that's something which we will continue to work on. And in terms of diversity in our overseas operations, we also give opportunity to our people to be able to serve overseas. And that's the very reason why we have sent Dato to Indonesia to run the BI Maybank there. Yes. Now the third element, which is very critical as you wish to expand abroad, would be the access to capital. Now, if I can show one slide here, if you look at this slide, there are three Malaysian banks among the top 10 banks in ASEAN. That's Maybank, Xiangbi, and Public Bank. But if you can appreciate, banking is a very highly capital-intensive business. Now, in order to be able to grow, you must have capital, and typically you must have minimum capital adequacy ratio of 8%. So that means that you can leverage your assets by anywhere between 10 to 15 times. So if you look at Maybank, which is number 4 in terms of assets, we are still far behind DBS number 1, which is Mustapa actually in terms of size. So that means that if you want to grow our base further into all the other countries, we must make sure that we will have adequate capital. So we have enough capital based on our profit and earnings retention, our dividend investment plans, to fund our organic growth of about 12% per annum. That's if you want to embark on M&A, so we do need additional capital to pump in. And this is within this context that I will encourage our institutional shareholders to support us, not just Maybank, but also the other banking groups in our pursuit for regional expansion.
If I may chip in at this point of time. Firstly, the government is pleased that more and more Malaysian companies are taking big. Malaysian market, of course, is quite big, but it's limited, therefore companies are going up. This is a welcome development, and one has got to recognize the advantages of going up. You spoke about talent, Malaysian talent going overseas. Of course, foreign talent coming to the place, very healthy. We have outstanding Malaysians who work, Maybank, Axiata, or Setia, going out and providing good management practices in those countries. At the same time, we have attracted lots of foreign talent as well. And when we attract foreign talent, that will benefit property companies. Our policy is to increase the number of expats in Malaysia. We need more expats. We have a fairly large number, but the critical mass is not there. But once you have more expats, you have critical mass, you have schools, you have restaurants, of course, you buy houses. So these are the benefits of what we call domestic investments abroad. These are Malaysian companies which have gone up. Some people in Malaysia do not like this. They say, does this mean that Malaysian companies are losing confidence in the country's economy? No, that's That's not right. The fact that we're going out does not mean that our own companies are losing confidence in the Malaysian economy. All these guys are putting a lot of money in Malaysia, but because the market is limited, it's important for us to export our services, our talent, and to bring along not only the talent, but in the process, promote the Malaysian brand name by having a presence overseas. You help us to complement the government's efforts to promote Malaysia abroad, and in the process, you help to sell Malaysian products. When Setia goes to Vietnam or China, we hope to bring Malaysian furniture to Vietnam and China. When Axiata goes to other parts of ASEAN, you bring some hardware to those countries. When Maybank goes to ASEAN, you bring along Malaysians, and we hope to export Malaysian services. So it is very important for us to do both. One is to attract foreign investments, and we would like more Malaysian companies to think big, because in the medium to longer term, in 1 or 2 years perhaps there might be some issues of balance of payments here and there, but longer term we are convinced that this will be to the benefit of Malaysia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dato. In fact, that's a good lead to the next question I have for yourself, sir, which is, when foreign direct investments are sometimes viewed, are sometimes politicized by the recipient country and perhaps viewed with suspicion at times. What has been the compelling story from your perspective when you promote Malaysia abroad? I think you touched on that on the earlier slides, what we have to offer, but what is the key message that you would convey as Minister when you promote Malaysia abroad?
Key message is we have political stability, certainty of policies, we have a good vision for the future. We have a good track record, we've managed this country well, we have all the development plans, we're now in the 10th Malaysia plan, and we have the EPP, GDP, and political transformation. We go through, first we started with government transformation, and then we embarked on economic transformation, and we have started with political transformation, the abolition of the ISA, for example. I mean, this is a very compelling story that we are changing, we're transforming, we're more open, we're business friendly, we've good infrastructure, we've got good people, talented Malaysians. So this has been very powerful selling points for Malaysia. And the other will be the strategic location of Malaysia in ASEAN and Asia, in the middle of a region which is growing dynamically. Very good growth in ASEAN, good growth in China, India, and Malaysia indeed is an ideal location, and ASEAN is an ideal location. So, in summary, those are the selling points for us when we go abroad. We have a good track record, we have good policies, and we have a clear vision for the future.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I'll open up the same question to the panel as well. How do you sell your prospective companies abroad? Have you experienced some form of negative perception? How do you deal with it? Maybe that's Sridharan.
Generally, Malaysia has been well accepted, and I'm saying it's really the case where in many of the countries in ASEAN, even because we are also beyond ASEAN, many of the countries welcome Malaysia as a country and welcome us as a company. About us itself, it's very important to sell, right? And we are now looking at perhaps 1 or 2 other countries. And I couldn't have done that many years ago because we don't even get our act together. So once we get our act together, we are confident we can say that we can do better than what currently people can do, or the current operator can do. Because we bring us not just the right management people, but the right processes and the right strategy that goes along with that. So that's our selling point. And I must say that in many countries, they welcome Malaysia quite a lot, very highly. They really want Malaysia to be there. Of course, we do have 1 or 2 countries where we have a slight difficulty, but generally that has been quite minor.
Okay. Liew, what's your experience with similar?
I agree with Dr. Sri here, because generally Malaysian companies are well respected within the ASEAN region. But once you go beyond ASEAN region, we have to establish again our own branding. Right, within ASEAN, I don't see a big issue at all. What the government have done in terms of branding Malaysia and so forth. It's only when, for example, for our case, when we go to Australia, we need to rebrand ourselves. Now that we're going to London, to open up the London market, that's a different market to rebrand yourself. Because generally, Westerners still think, who is ST Setia? Can you afford to buy land in London or not? So thanks to the support of our banks here, this is on the table if you want it. So it's a teamwork, not only us alone, but the support of the government. When the Prime Minister of UK was here, David Cameron was here, thanks to CIMB and not Maybank, I was able to speak to the Prime Minister. sorry. Thanks to Nair, I was able to speak to the Prime Minister of the UK about our bid in London. So straight away, because of the closeness between Malaysia and UK, then the High Commission was called to see me, and you guys assist Malaysian companies do what they can in London. So the government have done their part. It's now up to us to go and see what we can carve outside the world.
Okay, thank you. Comment from yourself, that's right.
Thank you. Don't worry, we'll back you up for your future projects. I guess for us at Maybank, we've been very fortunate because over the past 52 years, our people have been developing the Maybank brand very successfully. So that when we go beyond Malaysia, not just within ASEAN, but also internationally, in Middle East, for example, you say that you're from Maybank, so that the brand recognition is there. So the doors will open quite easily. But in the context of ASEAN, there are many markets where we were welcomed with open arms. Cambodia is one country where we've expanded from single branch to 11 branches now and expanding further to the extent that we have locally incorporated to facilitate further expansion. Even if when we go to China, China is a huge market. It may be saturated in places like Beijing, Shanghai, and so on, but there are many parts of southern China and hinterland of China that are still very open and very receptive to Malaysians going there. So I think we've been very fortunate in that sense.
Okay. We've got a very strong foundation. It's a fact that the government's opened lots of doors to many companies, oil and gas. Our companies have been getting concessions in some countries because of the good ties between Malaysia and those leaders, and without naming names. So the government's played its role, but as Nancy pointed out, it's important for the corporate players to play its part. So Malaysian companies have got this reputation. And in the Middle East, for example, in India, we are strong in construction, in highways, in airports. So it's not true to say that companies face problems outside ASEAN. I mean, we've got a good brand name in ASEAN, and indeed beyond ASEAN, Malaysia as a country enjoys a very good branding, and some Malaysian companies are doing extremely well in Middle East and India and other parts as well. The other point that we want to talk about is how Malaysian professionals have been looked at. In China, I think Malaysian professionals command a premium. In Hong Kong and other places, Middle East certainly, thousands of Malaysians in the Middle East. So that's another plus point for Malaysia. So we've got a very good foundation, very good track record. The companies have done well. There's not been too much thank you overseas. Keep our fingers crossed. Our companies are very well overseas. But I just want to highlight this other point. The high regard that Malaysian professionals enjoy overseas. And for that reason, they've enjoyed a good premium vis-a-vis other professions coming from other countries, which is also a very strong selling point for Malaysia.
Okay, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Now, we've talked collectively about ASEAN as a huge region and territory with economic potential, largest after China and Japan. Some statistics were shared with us, more than 600 million people, almost 8 or 9% of the world's population basically resides in our parts of the world. We talked about the positives. What are some of the challenges? What are some of the areas of friction that you have faced or which you wish could have been removed for you to do business better? Perhaps I'll start with Hans.
Well, our biggest market that we're trying to break through right now is not UK, it's actually China. Because in China, you're not able to hold land, you can't do land banking in China. And because the layers and layers of provincial, federal, state, and so on and so forth, and rules are very complicated. But thanks to the support of Mustapa and the Prime Minister, now we're able to do a huge project in China, 55 square kilometers, the China-Malaysia Qingzhou Industrial Park. Here, the government of Malaysia play a very, very important role. Through the government of Malaysia, we are able to secure a right to develop this huge piece of land, 55 square kilometers, on a national status preferred project given by the Chinese national government. On top of that, we will not enjoy any less than whatever benefits already given to industrial parks given to Singapore companies. This is a very strong effort by the government on G2G basis. I think sometimes when we face an obstacle like that, we need the assistance of the federal government for us to push through all the issues. Again, building trust, building confidence in the particular market.